whatever it is that I'm doing, what's actually necessary. So before like really problem solving is kind of prioritizing and seeing what's absolutely necessary. And so in this particular case, what are the calls, and are the calls even necessary to provide the type of service that she's wanting to provide? And after discussion, often no. We've talked about this a ton of times. Like, chances are they don't want to talk to us every week. Like, not a whole lot can happen in a week to make that necessary.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
I still don't quite know where we're going with this one.
Those make for the best shows, though, Jonathan. Like, this is when we're at our best. Have you guys ever seen it's going to be an 80s reference.
Oh, good. Before I was born. Yeah, no, that's good.
Right,
yeah,
absolutely.
I will let you know if I remember it.
Yeah, let me know if you remember this show.
I'll do that.
You were like 1, maybe 2 when this was out. But
I was born in 85.
Okay, yeah, you were like 4-ish, 5-ish maybe. And they did a movie of this show with it had Bradley Cooper in it, and it had what's Justin Timberlake's wife? I can never remember.
Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I get her confused with Jennifer Biel, because Jennifer Biel was in Flashdance, and I love her. Another 80s reference, but one 80s reference at a time, Jonathan. Stop it. But it was called The A-Team, and it was a group of ex-military people. Mr. T was in it. You're familiar with Mr. T.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I love it when a plan comes together. That was the tagline of the leader, Hannibal Smith, played by the always incredible George Papard.
Can I tell you about a time when a plan didn't come together for me?
All I want to do, the entire reason that I started that story, Jonathan, was to nudge you into some nonsense that you could not think of consciously.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Now that I've talked, now there's some nonsense that you've thought of. So please tell me and the listening audience when a plan did not come together for you. It's all I want to hear now.
Right. So I was walking down the street in Toronto, and we have the Toronto International Film Festival, where a bunch of celebrities come into town. And, I don't know what any celebrities look like. There are maybe 5 celebrities that I would recognize on the street.
Right.
And this was a number of years ago when Jessica Alba was in her heyday. In and around the time when the movie Honey came out. Mm-hmm. And I was in love with Jessica Alba. This was before Allison. This was she was the one. If you ask me, it's who was your celebrity dream girl? It was Jessica Alba, right?
Right.
And apparently I walked past her on the street.
Of course you did.
And a friend of mine that I was walking with was like, yo, did you see who that was? That was Jessica Alba. And she was walking the other direction, and I just saw the back of her head. I was like, I did one of those. But here's the thing. Here's why the plan didn't work out. Is I planned that if I ever met her, I would have gotten married to her.
Right.
And I saw her, and this was before she was married, and I didn't recognize her. And I feel like if I did, we'd probably be married right now. So that's why the plan didn't work out.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
Good for you, Jonathan.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, this whole running into celebrities thing is tricky for sure. I remember one time we were in New York City just for a vacation. And we're walking in Times Square, the most touristy place in all of New York that you could possibly imagine. And so we're walking there, and then there's this large group of people. They're like, oh my God, ah! They're all screaming and trying to get attention, paparazzi, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, I gotta check that out. And so then I snuck to the very front. I don't know how, but I'm right there. And I have pictures of 3 feet away from me, Mariah Carey. That was her.
Way.
And what was hilarious about that is I had my 11-year-old daughter with me, and she kept looking at her, and then she kept looking at the insane, super large billboard that they had of her in Times Square. And she's like, she doesn't look like the same person. And I'm like, and that is your first lesson in Photoshop, my dear daughter.
100%.
That's like every single fitness conference ever.
Yes, yes. Wait,
you look around the room and you're like,
your website.
I've been looking at that same picture of you where your arms are crossed and you're using your hands to push up your biceps a little bit, bro. And like, I'm a be real with you. You don't look like that picture. Like that's every single
reality.
fitness event. You look around the room and you're just like, oh, so these are normal people. Huh.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's funny. Celebrities never look like celebrities in real life. Like never. You almost always have to second guess yourself that that's who you're seeing, because they just I can say without humble bragging, I've met a lot of them. Like I've been that struggling to become someone in an industry. You get the chance to meet a lot of people, whether you're auditioning for something or you're in the same room with somebody, and they just never. You're always questioning, is that? No, it can't be. Is that? No, I don't think. Is that? I did the same thing with JB Smooth, Jonathan. You referenced him.
JB Smooth is I don't know what I would do if I met JB Smooth.
I have no idea who that is.
Oh my god, he's funny.
He's like a comedian, for lack of a better term. What was he? I don't know if he's in anything that you've seen.
He hasn't really been in anything. He was in SNL. He was an SNL writer, and he was famous for being an SNL writer because his skits never got on the show.
Right.
But he was the best ever at pitching his skits. Like, people in the writer's room apparently would just be dying laughing because he was a stand-up, like there's this thing, I mean, this is getting into comedy, which, I mean, I really love, but doesn't have much to do with online training, although it does, but whatever.
That's all right.
But he, stand-up comedy doesn't really translate that well to sketch comedy.
Right.
A lot of the time.
Two different things.
It's like punchline type jokes versus like crafting a short narrative, right? And so don't get me wrong, like certain comedians translates, but a lot of time anyway. So he was a stand-up comic with like punchline jokes, and he would basically get up and perform his ideas for everybody in the room, and people apparently would just be dying laughing, and his skits never got on the show.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so he was in SNL, and then he was Larry David's best friend in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Great show.
Was like his big acting break. He's
great
the black guy who's like Larry David's best friend, and he's hilarious. But yeah, he's just starting to come out more and do more. It seems his comedians with coffee episode with Jerry Seinfeld was hilarious.
Also very
He's
good.
just
I love
funny,
that show.
man.
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel so bonded with Jonathan because he never likes anything that I like, but he likes comedy.
Oh yeah.
So when he talks about it here on the show, I just want him to talk about it more. Almost at the detriment of the show. Like, I don't care that I ruin the whole show if I keep Jonathan talking about comedy. Because I think it's the only real bonding time that we have.
Well, so the joke that I told. This was a while back, but there was a joke that I told about like, who was the first football player to slap another football player on the ass? What was that like? Absolutely. That's a JB Smooth joke. That was a pitch for SNL that never got on the show when Tom Brady was the host.
And see, that should have happened.
Brilliant.
So Tom Brady was hosting, and JB Smooth came up with this idea and pitched it to the writers' room, and they're dying laughing. And Tom Brady was going to be the guy who slapped the player on the ass, like the first, like in like the 50s with the leather helmets. He's like, "Good game, brother," boom, and just slaps him on the ass, and that's like, but. He apparently pitched it twice because he figured it had to be a mistake that they never chose it the first time. And but like you kind of get it because there isn't really a sketch there. Like, it's a really funny thing to think about, but like, what's the sketch? What's the payoff? Like, where do you go payoff from there, right? So
it's not unlike the first 30 minutes of the show. Like, it's not really a show here. Like, what's the payoff? Nothing really. But it's kind of a funny it's kind of a funny concept. So that's what we do. Yeah, I saw him on the streets of Charlotte, man. He was here for the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game, which was in Charlotte in 2019. But for the folks out there listening, that
best thing to happen to the Charlotte Hornets, probably ever.
Probably ever.
It's not been a successful franchise.
We suck. Like, fundamentally,
you had who was the best player?
Like Muggsy Bogues. That was
you had Muggsy
90s.
Bogues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Funny story that I won't tell in detail here, but his wife almost ended up being our manager of our group. We had a meeting with her. She was starting a production company, and she had heard about us. She's like, I want. But she said some wild things in the meeting that turned us off. In any case,
you had Del Curry. You had Stephen Curry's father.
Yeah,
Stephen Curry's father. Stephen Curry's father is the all-time leader in points and 3-point shots for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, yeah. Steph Curry was raised in this city.
And Toronto.
Whatever.
He met his wife in Toronto.
For any listeners like me who have no idea who any of these people are, I feel you guys, and we're in this together. We will get through.
Steph Curry's wife is from Toronto. He met her when his dad was pregnant.
Well, whatever. In any case, if you guys watch the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, where the class trip is on tour. JB Smoove is the black teacher, so that's who JB Smoove is. So you can go and reference that. That's probably the most easily referenced. In any case, what was on my list, my radar next? Keto, are you doing anything interesting? Has anything worthwhile happened in your sphere? Any success stories? Any stories of failure, which I particularly enjoy? I saw the article is out that features you. That's just very interesting. This is a great article. Like, how are you feeling about that? For those that don't know, I'll let Keto say it.
Yes, so it's a PTDC article in which I contributed, talking about my experiences with being a business owner in the fitness industry while struggling with mental health, which I've talked about. They actually link to the episode that we had in the podcast.
Oh, very good.
On this topic.
So I'm included also.
Yes, you are included by proxy.
I feel good about that. That's enough for me.
I'm included in a lot of things by proxy. I don't know if that counts.
Right. That's enough for me to attach myself and talk wildly about it as if I did something significant.
There you go.
I only need a little bit. I just need a tiny little hook, Keto, to appraise myself, to humble brag about myself. I'm sorry, but talk about yourself more. I got carried away.
Okay,
once you mentioned me, that became immediately much more interesting than what you were saying. So please continue with your little story about stuff.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the article is awesome and you should totally check it out. But honestly, what Ren is saying right now, I feel like it's important that we kind of explore this, because I do the same. If there is something that I have any by proxy connection to, I will talk about it and I will get excited about it, because that's how you start positioning yourself as an expert by
Absolutely.
the connections that you have.
Absolutely.
So I mean, Ren started about this just joking about it, but for real, do that. I see that mistake so often in new trainers, that they are so hesitant to mention about anything that they're doing or contributing to, because it's not a solid deal, or it wasn't my idea, or it wasn't something that I led. Who cares? Freaking talk about it. Tag people.
Absolutely.
Celebrate each other. That's what it's all about.
It's module 5 in the Online Trainer Academy. Humble brag. It's the humble bragging module, and we support that here at the Online Trainer. Jonathan wrote my name in one other sentence about me in one of the books, and I took a picture of that page. And I made a reel out of it. I made an Instagram story, an Instagram post. Yeah.
Me too. I'm like, oh my God, I'm mentioned in this book. One sentence. Who cares? I am mentioned in this book.
Yeah.
And you want to know how many dollars I made from y'all show in that book?
That's the worst part. He's the worst. But I mean, at least he's honest.
Probably $20.
It's 20 solid dollars.
A whole 20.
Oh man.
Between
made a
you
whole
two, it might have been 50.
Enough for an entire Timmy's entree for breakfast. He's like, include the donut this time. Yeah, add the donut, guys, because I mentioned Keto and Ren, and I'm balling today. So let me get a large drink with that donut. I love Timmy's donuts, by the way. I love donuts.
He's like Scrooge McDuck, diving into his piles of money, swimming in his pool
made him
of loonies.
we've made Jonathan so much coin by proxy that he's now retiring from the personal trainer development center. So Jonathan, you mentioned the self, and we'll get to topic. I promise you. This may help with the topic. You mentioned the software the other day, and then I saw you mention it on Facebook today. the very exciting personal trainer software that is now officially in development. I don't know why I do that.
Well, it's not in development. We have a prototype in development.
Oh, there's a prototype
very
in development. Okay,
yeah,
very good. Very good. Like, I don't understand these terms, Jonathan. I just try to repeat what I've seen you write in places. Under the assumption that it will make me sound intelligent about the subject. So I don't really appreciate the fact that you critiqued me just now in front of everybody. But I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let you do you, dog. So we're talking about time today, sort of like your time management. I think something along those lines. Let's put Amber on the spot because she came up with the subject, and anytime she does that, she's obligated to talk first. It's the rules. We don't make the rules here. We just follow them. So Amber, can you please introduce the subject to us in your best Amber methodology? Get the delts out. I think she knew to have the delts out because she would be introducing the subject today. She's got a nice what do we call it? Is that a spaghetti strap top? Is that what we call that, Amber? Is that?
I'm trying to learn to dress more like an adult other than like athleisure wear, and so. Okay. I subscribe to Stitch Fix, and I'm trying on something
very nice.
to see if I decide to keep it or not. So
very nice. Stitch Fix, you now owe us money for the free ad that we just provided for you. I had to pay up a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned my training. So Stitch Fix, we're looking for the check. Don't make Jonathan send his Canadian goons out to see you. It can get ugly.
The Canadian goons are actually Canadian geese. Those jerks are the worst and most vicious animals ever.
Yeah,
so it's like imagine a gang of Canadian geese just coming at you.
They're on the way. You pay up or you get the feathers, Stitch Fix. We said it once. We're not going to repeat it. But go ahead, Amber. Introduce us in your very, very stylish Stitch Fix top.
Sure. So the idea is how to make more time in your business.
Your enthusiasm is off the charts, Amber.
I know. I don't do that. I mean, I'm terrified.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just instantly hit with a wave of enthusiasm from you, the likes of which I've not experienced since probably Boys in the Hood came out. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please continue. Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
What's the subject?
Anyway, so how to make more time in your business. So this came from a conversation I had today with a student who came to me in our live chat. I was like, I am exhausted. I have 35 clients and I do calls all day long and it's bleeding into my evening hours and I'm on either client calls or sales calls and I have no time for anything else, but I want more clients. Like, how do I fix this? And so that's kind of where the topic came from today. Yikes.
I think we all agree that the initial answer is just care about your clients a lot less. That's what works for me. Just generally.
If we were still doing quote cards, that would have been it.
Yeah.
It's like, number one, stop being so invested.
Right. Can I interest you in caring about your clients a little bit less? Let's start there, and we'll work our way back from that. I'm kidding. My clients know I'm not, but I'm kidding for the purpose of the show. So that's a lot. So who wants to chime in? Jonathan was somewhat bewildered by the subject matter today. He's not really sure we got our finger on the pulse of anything specific. Jonathan, if would you like to chime in here at all, having heard the conundrum that this coach is in? I used a big word today.
No, I'm good.
All right, good job, good talk, Jonathan. As always, adding value at every turn. So
I think I can get us started.
Okay, get us started, Amber, because Jonathan's checked out. He's got ice water.
There you go.
I'm at the point where I'm chewing the ice, which is not going to be good for the call.
Yeah,
so I'll put myself on mute.
Yeah, don't do that, Jonathan. So Amber, chime in here. What are your initial thoughts?
Add some value. Add some value.
I'll do it every once in a while. So the first idea is whatever it is that I'm doing, what's actually necessary. So before really problem solving is kind of prioritizing and seeing what's absolutely necessary. And so in this particular case, what are the calls and are the calls even necessary to provide the type of service that she's wanting to provide? And after discussion, often no. We've talked about this a ton of times. Chances are they don't want to talk to us every week. Not a whole lot can happen in a week to make that necessary. and Ren, you do the office hours, sort of thing, just to provide the opportunity. But a weekly call, especially a half hour or an hour call,
oh no,
every week is nuts.
That's alarming for me personally. Like, I cringe a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, this is my introvert self, perhaps, but like, I don't think I can envision a more miserable way
Right.
to pin myself into a corner.
I mean, we only talk quarterly, so if that says anything.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, when I see that booked in my calendar, Amber, I'm like,
God.
it's gonna be rough.
This is so insightful for me. Yeah, that sounds awful. It's a no for me, dog. I'm not gonna lie. I heard you say like 30 minutes, and my booty hole puckered a little bit. Like I felt it tighten up just a bit. Like no, no, thank you.
Is that let me get this straight? Is that your booty hole or your booty hole?
It's bootay. It's my bootay.
Oh, your booty hole.
My bootay hole. Puckered a little bit. And here's why. Like, I lived that life before OTA. Guys, I was doing like 40-minute calls with every single client I had every single week. Mm-hmm. And I was draining them and myself of all life energy. The energy that Mother Gaia provides us through the earth. Like I was draining us both of all that. It was awful. So I know how miserable that is. Carol, have you ever talked to your clients for like 30 minutes at a time, week to week? Like, I couldn't imagine. I so can't imagine Carolina doing this that I'm frightened to even hypothesize what it would look like. But is there any chance that you talk to your clients that much during the course of a week, like for checking in? Like,
I'm still getting over the booty hole comments.
It's bootay, kiddo. If you're gonna use the term, pronounce it right. You don't see me stepping all over Spanish here every day. So show some respect, okay?
That's great. Okay, so to answer your question, no, there is no way in hell you could ever catch me having like 40-minute calls with clients on a weekly basis. Yeah, no. And actually, I have a technique that I learned from the mayor, because he spent his life on phone calls. No, this is actually legit. And I picked it up from him, and it legitimately works because I've used it for work, but also for my other kind of like in-person,
It sounds like it's going to be good and like pretty official.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be major.
It actually is. So, and it's in line with a lot of the stuff that we teach with clients in general, is like you set the expectation. So the moment that you get on the call is like, hey, hi, so nice to see you. Just to let you know, I have a hard stop at 1:45.
Right.
Or what, like 15 minutes from now, 20 minutes from, like whatever time allotment you're going to give the person, right off the bat, I have a hard stop at this time. Let's go. What's worrying you today? And so then that forces also the person to be really concise with the information that because they can totally get their questions answered and anything they need from you in 10 minutes. It is totally plausible because you've set the expectation that forces them to let go of like the long-winded story they were going to start with of their life and beginnings that took them to this moment. Like now they have to zoom in on the actual problem, and it's so much more efficient for everyone.
This is like the lifelong story that brought them to that moment. I've been on those calls.
Yes.
That's terrible. Jonathan's face when he was talking about those long calls, it was. I felt it.
It's just, I mean, it drains me, man. I'm like, I get headachy, like. Yeah. It's just not, I mean, studying yourself, knowing yourself is perhaps the most important thing you could do in this business.
Yes.
Like carry you around, I think I mentioned this on this, if not somewhere else, but like carry around a little notebook or something like that. Jim Collins calls it a bug book, and study yourself. Give yourself a score from -2 to +2, how you're feeling throughout the day. And then write down beside it what you're doing at that time. Because you'll start to see patterns really, really quickly. And then you just like, all right, well, how can I eliminate those -2s and -1s and 0s out of my life?
Yeah.
Like for me, those types, I mean, I don't do any coaching. I own 3 different coaching businesses, and I don't coach in any of them because it's not like I can't do it.
It's not your personality, and that's fine, right? I think it's yeah, no, it's also giving permission. It's almost like like some coaches need to hear that permission to be like, hey, you don't have to be that hold your hand, walk with you every step of the way kind of coach. There's different ways to go about this, and you can be massively successful in staying, honoring who you are and what works for you.
I have learned as a business owner, which really, I mean, if you're a business owner and like a manager in a business, like you're a coach. Like you're a coach for all of your staff, right? I have learned that the absolute best way to lift people up is to create unbelievably high standards for them and then give them the opportunity to rise up to the challenge and let them be free to do it. Like don't put crazy amounts of pressure on them. Don't like yell at them when things don't work out. But I mean, Amber can attest to this. Like we have challenged the heck out of her and she's risen up and I mean, it's unbelievable what she's producing now. And I mean, that's the best way that you could do it. I could talk about this with a whole bunch of our staff. I mean, Geraldine took over our website earlier in this year and it's incredible what she's done. Like, it's just a matter of saying, we're going to challenge you and we're going to give you an opportunity to rise up to that challenge. And I think that our clients probably need a lot more of that as well.
Yeah.
Where they're humans, they're adults. If they can afford your services, like they're not stupid people, right? This is maybe a part of their life where they don't succeed as much as other parts of their life perhaps, but like they've been successful. They've gotten stuff done. They don't need that sort of hand-holding. They need somebody who believes in them. They need somebody who's going to challenge them and celebrate when they rise up to that challenge and encourage them to move forward. And it's pretty special to watch that happen.
Absolutely. So, action items, and I don't think we've even gotten deep into the action items, but sort of number one is like, is the time that I'm spending on this thing necessary? Back to what Amber said. In this case, well, we all knew the answer about phone calls before she finished her sentence. Like we were all sitting there shaking our head now. But and then a close number 2 from Jonathan's perspective is, self-awareness. Like, where does self-awareness come in? And I'm slowly killing myself through this process. There are pieces here that just don't line up with who I am. It's always going to be awful. It may not even be specifically the amount of time that this coach is spending that's exhausting. It may be what they're spending the time on that's actually exhausting. Because I've had that happen to me before several times. So Amber, I know that's not where you left off in terms of tips. So what were your next line of information for this particular situation?
So in this case, after we were able to kind of prioritize and talk about creating boundaries, so one of the things that she was running into is letting things kind of bleed into her evening time, which she was trying not to do. And so that's why, early on in the academy, we talk about a dream week. And that's your first opportunity to establish boundaries, not just with other people, but with yourself. Because coaches by nature are very giving and will give the shirt off our backs if it makes someone happy, and we need to be careful with that. So that was one of the next things that we tackled. And then after that, it's, does it have to be one-on-one? Can you find opportunities to work with people in a group and create group accountability to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you and maximize your time?
Yeah, so really quick for the folks out there listening who are the perverts that are constantly in Amber's inbox on Facebook, shirt off her back was not code for sending you nudes. So no need to start asking again tomorrow. We've sort of squashed that over the course of 2020. Let's not start that back up again. That's not what she meant. But secondarily to her point, coaches can be givers And I know that I want to go to Carolina because
how does your head go to all this?
I don't know, man.
I want to. There are a few people that I would love to just like be in their head and think what they think for like a period of time. I feel like living in your brain would be simultaneously terrifying and hilarious.
Oh yes, it's a good time for sure. But thank you for that very generous compliment, Jonathan.
It's amazing. It really is amazing, and it's amazing to witness like for a full year that we've been doing this, and just
you'd have thought that I'd run out by now. No.
You just keep thinking no matter more what's and more going on in your life, you come into this with the same, and I think there's a lesson here. Like, no matter what's going on in your life, and like, there have been times when we've recorded these episodes where like, shit's been going down in your life.
Yeah,
and, like,
some heavy things.
Always come into this with the same energy, with the same joy, with the same professionalism.
It's what we do,
it's special. It's cool.
It's what we do. We got stuff to do, and stuff's gonna happen no matter what you do. Why not do good stuff when stuff's happening? That's my thought process.
There's the quote card.
Back to Amber's. Yeah, back to Amber's new pictures.
Do good stuff when stuff's happening.
When stuff's happening, do good stuff. Ren Jones, throw the quote card out there. No pictures though. I've not shaved. But I know how important this part of the equation is for Keto, who's probably the boundary queen. We can't talk to Amber about boundaries because we regularly abuse her boundaries here on this show alone. The three of us abuse her boundaries. I'll send her a text at 11:45 p.m. or an email at 12 o'clock, and then I'll be angry if she doesn't reply by 12:05 a.m. Because that's what I expect from Amber. I expect her to respond to my boundaryless requests that put her in horrible positions and cause her to have to do extra work. That's becoming ever increasingly the nature of our relationship. But not Keto. When Carol's gone, she's gone. Like I know I'm not gonna hear from her anytime soon. She's taking another picture along the shore of some body of water, and that takes precedence in her life. So Keto, I know that you love cut. Like, how do you cut off your day, Keto? Like, how were you able to do that for the listeners and this particular person Amber's talking about? What's your gift here to the world? Share your light with the world here, Keto.
All right. So my message here is like, I live for the end of the workday. I live for it. I wake up excited for the end of the workday, so I'm chasing it as fast as I can. From the moment I wake up, I just sit and I'm like, do I have to check email? Fine. Check email, reply to everything that I have. Do I have to call a client? Fine. And just get it, like everything as fast as I can. Because then I can go out and garden and sing to my cat, and I can just frolic in a park if I want to, read a book, whatever I want. I'm free.
That's usually an arbitrary term, but I know for a fact that Keto actually will frolic in a park. It's something that other people say, but it's something that Keto lives. So I'm glad that you shared that. Jonathan, talk to us about boundaries, man. Like, why is it, you're sometimes you establish boundaries in the middle of a podcast. You'll just sort of zone out and read a book. So you're very good at boundaries yourself. Like, how do we get better at that?
Right now, actually.
Oh my God! Like, do you mean literally now, as we're recording? Like, the book's off camera?
No, I'm checking up on some investments right now, actually.
Okay, all right. Is this a Bitcoin thing? Is this a Dogecoin thing?
No,
I bought some AMC stock yesterday.
Oh, did you?
It's up 40% today.
Yeah, they're about to open back up. Like, they've probably been at a
short squeezing. It's going to be like a GameStop thing that they're doing.
Oh yeah, nice. That's nice. Nice.
So I had lunch with a friend yesterday, and he was like, "Yo, this thing's like happening. I'm gambling on it. Do you want to?"
Do
I was
it.
like, "I guess."
Why not?
I'm stupid like that.
Why not, Jonathan?
Like to gamble on stupid things sometimes because I'm a degenerate. What are we actually talking about?
So
Boundaries.
so setting
We
some-
want to know very concretely. We want to know, how do you prevent your booty hole from puckering? Amber is like, no, what is happening here?
It's like Amber forgot that we said that early in the episode, and it was a harsh reminder to her about how badly off the rails we've already been. She's like, I forgot that. This was almost normal for a minute.
I'm so mad at you for that visual. I'm so freaking angry at you.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Jonathan, how do you maintain your boundaries when it's quitting time? You told us a lovely story earlier in the podcast about you going and having lunch with your wife and your son every day. That's a great establishment of a boundary, right? And you respected that time. So talk to us about that. You've done this. Like, this is a thing for you.
I have done this, and I'm very passionate about this. I believe very, very strongly in structure and the importance of structure and how structure actually breeds freedom. Mm-hmm. The more things I have scheduled in my day, the freer I feel, the better I feel, the more boundaries I have. It's those days that are wide open to the point where I actually schedule in wide open times in my day and build structure around having nothing booked. Mm-hmm. In order to be able to give myself permission to read a book or to think. I mean, a lot of my job these days is literally thinking. Mm-hmm. And so, part of my day, like often, I mean, all day Wednesday, most Wednesdays, is like basically me sitting in a room with like a notebook, right? Mm-hmm. But it's very much scheduled. And so how do I do this? I mean, I decide on the most important things to me, and one of the things that I've identified is that when I schedule in my fitness, everything else falls into place around it naturally. It's just something I've learned over the years. So the first thing I do whenever I'm reestablishing myself in a location, because every time that I move, I have to build a new schedule, right? It's up 44% now. Everything I do, I have to build a new schedule.
Ticker?
Every time I move somewhere else. Yeah. It was going on the top of my screen. I just moved. It was distracting me, so I opened up a new browser and just got it off my screen. I'll let you know at the end of the episode. I'll keep you abreast as to
thank you so much.
As to how many Casio watches I have made. That's my unit of measurement is Casio watches. I've made over the course of this episode.
Oh my gosh.
Whenever I relocate in a new place, i.e. when I came home from Mexico to Toronto, I had to build a new schedule, which meant that Allison and I sat down and built a new schedule. And the first thing that we do is figure out when and where we're going to be working out. Mm-hmm. And so for us right now, because gyms are closed, that's 7 o'clock in the morning in our garage. Mm-hmm. Cool. Everything fits around that then. Right, when I get into work. So if we work out at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up at 6:30, I'm reading for 20 minutes, I'm drinking a coffee, I'm working out at 7 until about 8:15, 8:30, I'm showering, we're getting Calvin to daycare, we ride our bikes and drop Calvin off at daycare, and then Allison comes to the office with me usually and work in the office. Well, I'm not starting my work day until about 9:30 then. Mm-hmm. Right, that changes things. You see what I mean? But most of the time, my workouts are in the middle of the day in regular times, where the schedule is built around that. So I guess my point is, what is most important to you? Will lunch with the people I love, mm-hmm. or a quiet lunch where I'm not in front of my computer shoveling food into my mouth like a Neanderthal, mashing at the computer, where I can be a little bit more conscious about what I eat, or, kind of recover for the afternoon if it's been I have to make a lot of decisions. I sometimes have to have hard conversations, mm-hmm. right? That's comes with the territory, in a business. And despite what you guys say about me having no emotions, it weighs on me. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. so I schedule that stuff in the beginning, and they're non-negotiables. Mm-hmm. And if that means that the business grows a little bit slower than it might otherwise grow, if that means that I don't know, we make a little bit less money than I would otherwise make in my life. That's a trade-off that I've been willing to make. Now, what's interesting is that what happens is the exact opposite. when you structure in the things that are really important to you, and you build in the structure in your life, you will find very quickly that you have more energy and that you approach work differently. And, you're not rewarded in this society for the amount of work that you do. You're rewarded for the results of that work. And so the amount of time you spend on getting those results is completely irrelevant. So if you can figure out a way to show up better in your work and think better and feel better and be more fun to be around, then you're going to get better results, which means you're going to be able to make more money in less time. And so that's my secret is what are the most important things, schedule them in, make them non-negotiable, and let everything else fall in around that. And if something doesn't fit around that, you now know and can think about whether you can calculate the trade-off. And you can decide at any point in time whether that trade-off is worth it or not worth it. But you know what that trade-off is? It's at 49% right now.
Oh my God.
That thing's climbing. How many Casios are we up to? Could you please speak in Casio watches, sir?
I will calculate this for you. So it's at 29.48.
Oh God, we're getting the actual math.
I bought it at 19.7.
Oh, very nice.
Okay. Nice. That's how many shares I have divided by 13.99 per Casio. Wait, I did the math wrong. Okay, keep talking about yourself.
Yeah, I'll keep talking. So I'm just gonna recap the show because there's so much value that we've heard here today. Value. That's from a Lionel Richie song, by the way. I think the name of the song is "Just to Be Close to You," if I'm not mistaken. It's one of those 70s, 80s songs where the R&B singer has to talk for 25 minutes before the song actually starts. One of those deals, and he's talking about something like, before I met you, my life didn't have any value, no value at all, no purpose. It goes something like that. So that's important.
I made 696 Casio watches.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Now I really understand it. Yeah.
I mean, buy each one.
If I were to sell the stock, of course.
Yeah. If you step out and you do
and
sales,
as we've learned from Bitcoin.
Right. If you step out and you do sell, Jonathan, would you send each of us our own Casio as sort of a gift?
This episode will go live in 2 weeks, so I can share this. I bought every member of our staff a Casio watch a couple days ago.
Nice.
I love that. My guess is yours will arrive any day.
I love that.
Geraldine got one in the mail today, and she was like,
"Oh, did she?"
She was like, "I didn't order anything from Amazon, so I didn't know what it was." And then I opened it, and I knew it was from you.
Oh man! Thank
Am I considered part of the staff?
No, you guys aren't included.
Oh,
we get nothing, Keto.
Nothing.
We lose. Good day, sir. So to recap the show, so we can get out of here with our sanity and our collective bouteilles unpuckered. Unpuckered. That's your 12th book, Jonathan. How to Set Boundaries, Jonathan Goodman. The boundaries that I've set for life. The Unpuckering of Jonathan's Bouteille. Like that's a great title for your next book. Let's get that out. Yeah.
We need a mock-up book cover, Amber, please.
We don't. No.
Yes.
Absolutely do not.
Boundaries. The Unpuckering of Jonathan Goodman's butthole. That's it. I'm thinking paperback, not hardback. First of all,
I'm thinking this is going to be a straight to Kindle release.
Yeah, maybe so.
Did you know?
I'd be happy to write
when the
forward.
Kindle came out and gained prominence, the romance genre exponentially increased.
Did it really?
Because nobody could see what you're reading. Everybody always wanted to read smut and nothing else.
Absolutely.
They just didn't want other people to know that they were reading smut.
So you can be reading like spicy stuff incognito. That's
like
great.
getting turned on the subway and nobody knows.
That's a new concept.
That's a new thing. That's like a real thing. I have a couple of friends who run a publishing company, and like basically they do like mystery. They actually did the audio publishing for The Motion, was their big first hit. They discovered The Motion before like anybody else, and so they do like mystery and sci-fi and romance, and they're like romance just blew up.
So I'm gonna have a hard stop at 2:05.
Thank you, Keto. Good application. I'm just giggling as I see Amber diligently mocking up this book cover.
Yes, she's already working
From
on
the
it.
second that happened, her focus got laser sharp in the little window, and I know exactly what she's doing. So, couple of tips. Number one is ask yourself, is what you're doing, is it actually necessary? It's probably not in terms of super long calls. Self-awareness, knowing who you are and what, quite frankly, puckers your bootay. That's also important. Not only that, but setting clear boundaries so that you don't get into situations where your time is compromised. And we all sort of prioritize our own individual health.
Amber, stop doing stuff. Stop doing stuff, Amber.
We didn't hear from Amber.
I can
do
see
it, Amber. Do
the
it.
Forehead wrinkle of concentration.
She's really enjoying what she's doing. Like, she's 100% invested in this task that literally nobody asked her to do. Like, she's all over it. So we all sort of prioritize our own health. Jonathan by design, me by schedule too. Keto backed herself into a corner with her group to make her do it in the morning. I think that's a big factor here in not feeling so exhausted. Show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. This show has been sponsored in part or in full by the Online Trainer Academy. Starting at just $87 a month for 12 months, the Online Trainer Academy is the smartest career investment you'll ever make. Join today and join us in an unpuckering of your bootay. Come on over to the onlinetrainer.com/OTA. This has been another most excellent production of the Online Trainer Show. We're number one on one guy's list somewhere that's loosely associated with us. So we're making.
So basically, we made it.
Yeah, I looked at the list, and Jonathan was like, "No, this is the company that did," and I was like, "Oh, he's one of my Facebook friends. I think he came to the OTA." John, it was like, aha. So that's how we got to number one on that list we mentioned, but we still didn't pay money. Keto's got a hard stop. Let's do the jingle.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.